seen some foreign analysts and influencers like Sami Hamdi suggest it is your obligation as a Muslim to vote against Harris.
Mehdi Hassan has been spending so much time with Mgage that he started to call out his opponents as being foreign analysts who are interfering in U.S. politics, which is really ironic coming from Mehdi and his crisp British accent. And the ink hasn't even dried on his U.S. citizenship papers, which he got ironically, under Trump's watch. At any rate, we reject the divide and conquer tactics that Mehdi is trying to push. People like Sami Hamdi and Mohammed Jalal has simply articulated what the bulk of the Muslim American community in America is feeling. That's why when you look at the Imam's letter that we put together, you see a ton of support, not just in numbers, but also in geographical diversity, even in ideological diversity. That's why when you look at Yaqeen Institute's latest polling data on how the Muslim American community is feeling, a lot of them, if not the majority of them, are leaning towards the Green Party. That's where the community's at. That's also why the USCMO, the Task Force for Palestine, has released its endorsement, which is in line with that data and in line with what we're saying, that the Muslim community should not vote for either of the major two parties, but should rather pursue a third party this election. Even the uncommitted movement, whose leadership sort of betrayed the base is reorganizing and trying to reclaim the movement. They also are very upset at endorsing Harris. All of this to say that this is a genuine grassroots movement, and Mehdi can either get on the bus and join the movement, or he can get out of our way.
I am, though, uncomfortable watching some Muslims weaponize our faith and our sense of community to try and score political points.
Now, if Mehdi wants to claim that we're weaponizing the religion, then we would say that Islam is the first thing, and faith is the first thing that should be weaponized. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ad-du'a silah al-mu'min," that prayer is the weapon of the believer. So yes, we're going to use our faith. We're not going to leave our faith at the door. We are tired of being told that we have to leave our faith at the door when every other community is not expected to do that. Unlike Mehdi, what we're not weaponizing is fear. Call it what it is. We're weaponizing our faith. We're weaponizing our Islam. Mehdi is weaponizing fear. And that is something that is not okay and is even more emotionally blackmailish and cringy than trying to bring Islam into the picture. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ. He says that the shaitan, the devil, is the one who tries to use fear tactics to try to get people to act in unprincipled ways. And this is not a personal attack against Mehdi. No one get it twisted. We like Mehdi when he debates. We just don't like Mehdi as a political analyst. In fact, if you go back to other people, many people have seen through Mehdi. Rifat al-Arir, rahimahullah, saw through Mehdi. He said that he was a sellout. You can check the tweets. Norm Finkelstein saw through Mehdi as a political analyst. He called him a sack of you know what. You can check it on YouTube.
Mehdi Hassan says, who, like me, has defended Corbyn up until now, but like me, struggles to defend his quote-unquote Zionist remarks that have emerged from 2013. This sack of opportunists.
And for Mehdi to sort of wave his credentials in the air for the Palestinian issue, to say that he left corporate media, was that one of those "you can't fire me, I quit" things? Because I'm not really quite sure about the timeline on that. Recall that it wasn't enough for Mehdi to call upon the Muslim community to abandon Biden. The genocide wasn't enough for him. Mehdi only moved to call people to replace Biden with another Democratic candidate after his performance at the debate. So what has this taught us about Mehdi's credentials on the Palestinian issue? That the slaughter of Palestinians wasn't enough to call for replacing that candidate, but doing bad at a debate was.
Go back even further to 2000, when a clear majority of Muslim Americans decided to punish the Democrats and vote en masse for George W. Bush. Did that make the Democrats become pro-Muslim? No. Did that stop George Bush from invading Iraq and killing 500,000 Muslim Iraqis? No.
But really, the latest comments by Mehdi demonstrate that he has no shame. Trying to use the deaths of Iraqis to sort of shame people that are calling for a more principled stance, when he himself used to make apologetics for the Hashd back in the day. I'm not sure if people remember that. Trying to release the video yesterday, which was the same day that we saw Palestinians in hospitals hooked up to IVs burnt alive. It's a new low. So we would ask Mehdi and Mgage and any of the other people who are running interference for the Democratic Party, what would it take the Democratic Party to do for you to withdraw your support? Would Israel have to take over Medina? Would Israel have to take over Mecca? Like, what's the end game? What's the red line? Because it really doesn't seem like you guys have any red line, which is really, really concerning. Mehdi and company are pushing this loyalty-first politics, which is a losing strategy. It is something that is going to deliver a victory to the Israeli lobby and is going to leave the Muslim community with no power and no leverage. The Israeli lobby has never been more desperate. They've been pumping money into this election, especially with the Democrats and Kamala Harris, basically telling her, you can turn your back on the Muslims. They won't cost you the election. Listen to us. Do whatever we say. No red lines, and you won't pay for it. We promise. And so if we're able to deliver a loss to Harris, then that will be a tremendous loss to AIPAC. For the first time, we will have proved them wrong, and every politician will start to reconsider whether it's worth the ROI, whether it's worth the return on investment to actually be in the pocket of the Israeli lobby and support Israel no matter what. And it's true that results will not come immediately, but it is true that we have to start somewhere. And this will be the first time that supporting Israel and supporting the occupation and supporting Zionism and being in the pockets of the Zionists will have a political cost attached to it, which is just the beginning. Power responds to power, not loyalty, which is why if you make someone lose, you cause them to question the steps that they took to get to the results that they ended up having to experience. And it's funny that Mehdi brings up the Ross Perot example back in the 90s, because Ross Perot is actually a perfect demonstration of this principle. He ran on basically a single issue, which was balancing the budget, and he took away so many votes that he forced the major parties to adopt his position in the following election. That's exactly what we're talking about doing here. Loyalty-first politics do not work. In fact, loyalty-first politics have delivered us into the genocide that we are currently experiencing today. And even if, at the end of this, even if the political analysis is completely off and is wrong, then at least it is a principled decision that you can meet your creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the day of judgment and say to him, I did not support a politician that was responsible for the genocide of Palestinians. So I'm calling upon all the Muslims to hold tight and to not give in to fear. We watch our brothers and sisters in Gaza. They have not given in to fear. The Muslim brothers and sisters in America don't give in to fear as well.